Hauser here from Worley Derb. I'm the content director, and you know I love to draw. I'm a doodler. And I know this time of year, one of our favorite things to draw are those spooky scenes. I love to draw a spooky scene and then write a story about it. Or maybe I'm drawing like one of our little fun monsters and then writing about his adventures on Halloween. So what I'm going to be doing today, I'm going to show you how to add maybe a tombstone and a spooky fence outside your house. So here is a great example. Behind me, I have our spooky house. So yeah, that's our setting. It could be a setting for a story. And then over here, notice we've got some tombstones down here, and we've got this spooky fence. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do that today. We're also going to have a little intro to 3D with it, because this tombstone, it looks closer than this one does. And you notice we've got two tombstones, and then there's a skeleton behind the tombstones, and then there's a tree behind the skeleton behind the tombstones, and then there's the fence all the way at the back. So that, students, is the beginnings of learning to draw in 3D. So we're going to do some overlapping with it. And yes, the tombstone. So we can have a really simple tombstone like this that goes with our monster, or we can have one that's a little more complicated, like the one that has, it says skeletons and trees and all kinds of things in front of it. So I'm going to give you those skills today so that you can add that into your illustration. So here we go. And this is really, it's very simple. That's what we want to do, is break it down for you so you'll know how to add this into your illustrations. So here we go. We're going to do a simple tombstone, and then we're going to do the fence behind it. So a couple things that you need to know. We're going to be using, it looks like an overlapping. Okay, so we're going to draw our tombstone first. Notice this down here. We have a ground down here at the bottom. See that? And I'm using a little wiggly line there. So, because it wouldn't be smooth here at the bottom of our tombstone. So we're going to do a nice tombstone, a little ground, and we're going to use, look at that, we're going to use like some almost parallel lines, vertical lines. Then we'll have a couple horizontal lines, and we're going to angle them a bit here at the bottom, add some triangles, and we will be done. All right, so here we go. We're going to use that small sheet of paper. That way we can practice a couple times. So let's see. What we're going to do is, let's go ahead and let's just put some, like a little bit of a, kind of a wiggly line here across the bottom. Give us a little ground there. We're going to do a tombstone. I'm going to set the tombstone kind of over here on the right side of it. And what I'm going to do is basically, it's kind of an oval-ish shape that's going to go here. And what I want you to do is, you might have a little indentation into it, because this is a spooky one. I'm going to make it with a little bit spookier line than I did in the example. And see how if you just kind of wiggle that line, you get the sense of it's a spooky line. Right now it looks like a piece of toast, but we're going to spookify it. So what we're going to do is, let's see. If we had a light source coming over here, let's just do another little line that comes here. We're going to bump it back a little bit. That's going to give it a little dimension, because it would have a little bit of a side. So if we turned and saw the side of it, we'd see that right over there. So that's going to be the depth of it. So that's a little element of 3D for you. So let me just I'm going to darken that one just a little bit in. I do like to use a pencil almost better than a crayon when I'm coloring in my tombstones. The reason is you can smudge it. Look how spooky that starts to look like. So if I add a little bit more, a little bit heavier on the pencil, and then you kind of smush it in there. I might do a little bit over here on the side. Just kind of smush it in. So there we have our tombstone. Maybe we have a little rest in peace on it. And maybe you do, maybe have a little name or something. Pretty simple. So all you're going to do, you can get a little fancier and do different shapes and things. But for a simple little tombstone, basically you just got this curved line coming up. You can curve it. You can make it a little more rectangular. Works perfectly. Let's say if you wanted another one that was kind of peeking out here behind it. So this one's in front. maybe we've got another one over here. What you can do is you can have it come up a little bit. You can have it just kind of peek out, just maybe a little bit that kind of comes down here. Maybe you have that. You put another one over here. And do that, add a little bit of our shading up here. So you can have a couple little tombstones there, kind of spooky. And then we're going to put our little spooky fence behind it. And like I said, I love drawing these Halloween things. You don't have to make anything very perfectly straight. So we're going to start here at the edge. Horizontal line comes over. Once you run into it, do not continue that line over. You're going to stop, hop over to the other side. And then our little spooky fence, I'm just going to put a little angle there so it might look like it goes up. Come over, stop, hop over to the other side. Right when you get kind of under that one, kind of turn it up a little bit. And so you might have a little bit goes up. We're going to come back and you can actually put these in. Don't put them in as perfectly straight coming in. See how that's really not parallel? They're parallel-ish. So you don't want them to look just fantastically straight. There's our little corner one. It might come up a little bit. You might put a little grass down here. But notice how it has that rickety effect. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back. I am going to place tiny little triangles on top. Let's go ahead and color those in. And look, there we have kind of and it's starting to set that scene for being a little bit spooky. And you can kind of compare that to the first one. I do like see how you add in those little wiggly lines? It actually gives it a little bit different feel to it, a different atmosphere to your drawing. So there you go. Very nicely done. You can have, if you want a straighter fence, you can do that. If you want it to be a little more spooky looking, you can do that. And remember, when you're working on your final illustration, you want to be sure, and you're an artist, so sign your work so that we will know that it is yours. All right, so there we have all kinds of tombstones. Got a couple tombstones. Have some spooky fencing there. You're looking at that. We're going to pop back over here. And that's how you might put it together. So there's a little look at what we have here. See, I've got a main idea, our little monster here. And over here you can see we've got a little overlapping. And this one actually, the tombstone is behind the fence. You can actually put the fence in front of it if you would like to. This one does not have a fence. So look, no fence and no tombstones. I think it adds a little bit of a little more atmosphere into it. Well, I hope you enjoyed learning how to draw that spooky tombstone and that creaky looking little fence, because it does add another spooky element to your illustrations. I'm Roxanne Glauser here at Whirly Derb. I hope you have enjoyed this episode of Art Smart on Demand. Thank you so much.